How y'all doing? This is Mongo Slade, and today we're going to talk about this rumor that Chyna had to make a decision between Playboy and being the WWE champion, and she chose to do Playboy. Now, this comes from a article from Wrestling Inc., but after doing a little bit of digging, I found out this actually does come from Chyna herself. But let's talk about it. So, first, hit the like button for me. Also, hit subscribe. So, from Wrestling Inc., they did a conversation. They had a conversation with China's manager, this Anzaldo fella. What is his first name? What is this guy's first name? Anthony Anzaldo. So, Anthony Anzaldo is the China manager's Chyna, and he talks about Chyna's offer them being offered the WWF championship. He says they offer her the WWF championship. But Vince said you can't do Playboy because she got offered to do Playboy. She chose Playboy over the belt. She went and got her boobs done 1 week and didn't tell Vince. And when she came back, he was fucking pissed. This was her first boob job. And that boob broke. Savio Vega, in the ring chain match, he hit her in the tits with his chain, popped one of her boobs. So she let that go for a while. She got sick. Ultimately, went to Thailand, got the boobs redone, but the guy did a bad job with the sewing around the nipples, so she was opening a bag of chips and they sprang open. And so her nipples eventually looked like they were sort of splattered on her areola. Take a look at the footage. Not Playboy because of airbrushing and all that, but the porno. You'll see her tits. You see the scar. I speak up with the tattoo and all that. By the way, nobody knows this shit because I'm the only guy who knows the story, the true story. The true story, not the wannabes, not the star fuckers, not the mother who wished that she could have saw her daughter after 30 years. I'm behind all of that. I'm the good guy. Vince says, if you do Playboy, you don't get the belt. She said, fuck the belt. I'm doing Playboy. Highest selling out of the box Playboy. First week in the history of Playboy, more than Kim Kardashian. Is top 3 of all time behind Kardashian and Marilyn Monroe. So she does Playboy. Awesome. Now she's a big fucking star. She does the book, but WWE did the book. She didn't even get any of the money, make money on the book. And he started talking about the book. And the book I never read and anything like that. So I was at first like, this motherfucker right here. You should know better. Okay, you should know better that there are certain groups of people. You can't just say anything around them and it's just accepted. Wrestling nerds, comic book nerds, Star Wars, Star Trek nerds. Like there are certain groups of nerds that just know stuff so well that you just can't get by it. And wrestling nerds is among that group. You know, especially Attitude Era nerds. Because when you start talking about Chyna and her boob jobs, that was in 1997 because Shawn Michaels and Triple H did this whole thing that lasted about 5 or 6 minutes when they started talking about Chyna's boobs and said they were the 2 newest members of DX. I remember that shit clearly. And Shawn Michaels was the champion when it happened, so it had to be at least late November, December, or January 1997 or 1998, somewhere around that era. Nowhere around the time when she did Playboy. Now, at least this guy probably got a case of the scatterbrain. Or the story he was told was wrong. Okay? But Chyna got a boob job 2 years before she wasn't even wrestling yet when she got the boob job. When she first got her first boob job, let's say. Because that's what he said the first boob job. Now, the idea that Chyna had to make a choice between Playboy and the WWE Championship actually comes from Chyna herself. So let's talk about this. So this is an article from WWFoldschool.com. During a recent appearance on Bell to Bell podcast, former WWF Women's Champion and Intercontinental Champion Chyna claimed that there were plans for her to become the first woman ever to win the WWF Championship. So then she says, there certainly was. It was actually in the pipeline and ready to happen. But when Playboy came along and wanted me to pose for them, I had to make a choice. Vince told me that if I did Playboy, I could never be world champion. I'm a woman. I like to feel pretty and liberated and be able to kick some ass too. So I chose Playboy and was never world champion. So this is Chyna talking. Okay. So I don't know how much of this stuff I believe. Now, do I believe Chyna might have been in the conversation? Yes, because there was a time there between when they started really pushing Chyna as a wrestler. There was a time where she was so over that it would have made sense to have her at least wrestle for the title. Okay, it made sense. Now, I was 15, 16 years old, not old enough really to make a big deal about it. And plus, Chyna was a big woman. Okay, so she was like 6'1", 6'2", or something like that. She was bigger than a lot of the guys. She's definitely bigger than some of the guys today. But if we're being honest, I wasn't really thinking about it that much. And if they would have done it, it probably would have been along the lines of every other silly thing they were doing. They were setting people on fire on TV in 98, 2000. They were setting people on fire. They were throwing fireballs. They were sacrificing people. There were kidnappings. People were pissing themselves. A guy pulled a gun on another guy in 97. It was completely out of control. So, not divorcing this from its context, it probably would not have made the list of the silliest things they would have done if they would have made Chyna the WWF champion. It wouldn't have made the top 10 stupidest things they had done in the Attitude Era, because it was that stupid. One guy killed another guy's dog and fed it to him. There was a cage match with dogs around the ring. There was some top tier stupid ass shit in the Attitude Era. This wouldn't have made the list. It's fucking stupid, no doubt, but it wouldn't have made the list. It wouldn't have been top 10 stupidest things they would have done. Okay, and her being the Intercontinental Champion doesn't mean a fucking thing, because every low card swinging dick in the locker room was the Intercontinental Champion. It didn't mean anything. Fucking Hardcore Holly was the Intercontinental Champion. Fucking Albert was the Intercontinental Champion. Who the fuck cares about them guys? Now, what I don't believe is that she got sat down by Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon, the guy who had this deal with Playboy where his women would go and do Playboy, right? I mean, come on. You think that the Vince McMahon who turned this into a storyline, by the way, with the whole Eddie Guerrero not wanting his girlfriend to do Playboy, he turned this whole thing into a storyline, was dead set against her doing Playboy. I'm not buying that one, dog. I'm not buying that one. If anything, if this had been the story, if the story had been Vince McMahon told me that if I did Playboy, he would make me world champion, I think I would believe that 100%. But Vince McMahon saying, look, I can't have my world champion doing Playboy. After Shawn Michaels did it, by the way, because Shawn Michaels did Playgirl. He was the world champion. So the idea that we're not going to have somebody doing scantily clad pictures as the world champion is like Shawn did it. It's already been done. We had already crossed the Rubicon on that one. So I can see Vince McMahon saying to himself, if anything, her doing Playboy would have made her uniquely qualified to be the first woman to win the WWF Championship. He could have been like, God damn it, did you see the numbers? She's a star. Give her the fucking belt. And not thought about it. Now, he would have had a hell of a time finding somebody to do the job for her. And half the locker room probably would have been pissed. You can already count the Steve Austin wing. You probably count him, he's out of here. There's no way. He probably wouldn't even want to be champion anymore. He'd probably be the one to say, I have to take it off of her. But I just don't see it as being, again, it wouldn't have made the list of the stupidest things they would have done in the Attitude Era. I mean, it's just, they did a lot of stupid shit. So it wouldn't have mattered. But I don't buy that she had to make a choice. I think more or less, if anything, that, they just didn't want to make her the champion. They just didn't want to do it. Could it have something to do with her vulva? Maybe. But also, Chyna wasn't that great of a wrestler. She much like the Ultimate Warrior, she hurt people that she worked with. That was a common refrain with Chyna, that she often hurt some of the women that she was working with and some of the guys. That, she wasn't very well trained. Her skills were not there. She was a great personality, but her skills just didn't match what they wanted for the world champion. Not like it would have mattered, because, she could have been champion for one day. Kane was champion for like 12 hours. It wouldn't have mattered. She could have pinned somebody in a roll up or something like that and lost the title at the beginning of the Raw. They could have done stuff like that. But I still don't believe they sat her down and gave her this ultimatum. That part I don't believe. If anything, I would have believed that Vince McMahon would have tried to bribe her, like, hey, you should go do Playboy. And here's the crazy thing. Now, one of the things some people may say, well, Vince wasn't going to get paid for her doing Playboy. Wrong, sir. When you look at the cover of Playboy, what do you see? WWF superstar Chyna, spelled just how WWF spells it. You know why? Intellectual property. They got paid for her doing Playboy. So that wasn't the problem. So I don't see how any of this stuff would have, like, what's the conflict? WWF actually allowed her to do Playboy. She did it under their name, the name that they book her with. So it wasn't like she went and did Playboy under her real name and then they kind of just disavowed it. No, they let her do it and then they turned it into a storyline. So I don't believe it. I don't believe this whole they made her make a choice. I believe she was in the conversation. She probably overheard the conversation. And then they just decided, well, just like they talk about just about anybody. Tito Santana was said to have been in a conversation with WWF champion in 1992. Did that happen? No. It didn't happen. So people, they talk about people that are on the roster that are of a certain level when they're trying to move people upwards. They talk about people. She's probably in that conversation because she was over enough to be in that conversation. But do I believe they had to make a decision and they was like, nah, I don't believe that at all. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. Like this video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will talk to you guys later.